Beloved. Hello. Your boy is back. I am here. I'm here, and I'm back. Guys, today's music will be brought to you by Brent Lewis and a pretty cracking album called Drum Sex. All right? So if you're feeling it, and honestly, if anyone is at risk of becoming pregnant or think you may be pregnant, you might want to skip this stream. Okay. Wow. Drum Sex really dropped in there. There's one song on this album, and it's called, there's like 12 songs on this album, but one song is called Sweetheart. And for some reason, that has forever been like the song of the hells in my mind. Whether or not they're really listening to that in hell, I have no idea. Absolutely none. But happy Monday, everybody. Good to be back in the cockpit on a Monday. You know what I'm saying? That's where I want to be. And it also feels really good to be playing some DnD on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. So, let's go. We'll start with the recap. Let me bring that down on my end. And yeah, I guess the last time we played was like 2.5 weeks ago. Thursday of this week will be 3 weeks ago. Yeah, and last time we played, it basically was, pretty hectic, man. Like, they've been dealing with this situation, trying to save this dragon, Trisiladon. They'd spent the last, 5 or 6 sessions way up north, spine of the world, this Ice Shield Orc encampment. And at least for me as a DM, it's super satisfying when the party is really challenged in terms of making a decision. So they were waffling. They were like, should we try to sue for peace? Should we fight these orcs? Should we just get out of here and run to Trisiladon's lair and be like, get out of here, the orcs are coming? And they ended up trying to kind of win the orcs over through this trial by combat. They lost. A battle broke out. They bamfed to the ethereal plane. And kind of in that sequence, in that session 2 or 3 removed, they really kind of lost their ability to save Trisiladon. It just ended, They turned the orcs. They didn't have any backup. Numbers were against them. And they fled. So, yo, Amon. No, it's not. That's probably a restream thing. So thank you. I'll change that. How you doing, Amon? Welcome, my boy. Welcome in. Oh, shoot. Dang it. Insomnia. I did not see that you redeemed. Interesting. Okay, well, I'm still figuring out how restream works, or more accurately, doesn't work. But thanks for the heads up on that, Amon. Cheers. Damn, I also didn't get my go live notification of Hot Girls Go to Hell. That's everybody's loss there. That's rad. Okay, cool. Okay, so anyway. So they basically blew their opportunity to save this dragon, which was something they were working for a very long time. And they fled into the Underdark and traveled for some time, essentially came to this sort of circular break in the rock that basically appeared to be about a 60 by at some point 70 oval prism. It seemed to be this thing of rock that was formed naturally through the flow of water, but it opened kind of top to bottom. And as they peered into this darkness, they lit a torch and dropped it and saw that about 70 feet down there was stone. They descended on a rope, and after they got to the bottom, they scared the living bejesus out of a man named Jordanes, who was sort of like a, sort of a drow that was out there. He was collecting moss. He was a farmer and, did not anticipate to be, coming across, heroes or a group of people from the surface, these lurkers. So he was a bit spooked, But it is not impossible to make friends in the Underdark, and that is what happened. So they enjoyed that. I enjoyed it too. I was like, are they going to kill this guy? Okay, cool. They're making friends. Great. That's way better. Oh my gosh. I'm going to at Brandon with a Y real quick. Because he just needs to know. The boy needs to know. Oh, copy that, Amon. Yeah, keep us updated. That's great. You know what? Making that table might even be enough to just solve your whole problem. You know, because I bet a lot of where the DM's coming from is wanting to be able to accommodate you and your character and the rest of the table and their characters. You know what I mean, Amon? Because sometimes something will break an encounter and then a DM or I will freak out and be like, oh my God. Okay, let me just drop a message to Brandon with a Y, my boy. Has made it to session. Okay, cool. So that will be an exciting moment, hopefully, for Brandon. Shout out to our boy. Attaboy, Amon. Just talk it out, man. When in doubt, just holler at your DM and be like, can I holler at you? And they will almost always be like, of course. But of course. Okay, cool. I'm confused by why... Well, who cares? Let's just rip. Okay, so that's more or less the recap, y'all. Actually, I guess not completely. They came across Jordanese and he was like, well, you know, I thought that we are at the war, you know, the surface in the Underdark, so are we cool? Like, can we be friends? And the party was like, yeah, we can be chill. And this, you know, moss farmer who basically harvested, you know, spores and lichen, etc. And I described the Underdark foliage as being like slightly iridescent, almost like it glows, like the faint hues of what you might expect to see on a highlighter. Like a lot of kind of electric yellows and hot pinks. And they were faced with the decision of, you know, do they just get out of the Underdark? Do they go back to the surface, having failed to save this dragon and just get out of town? Deal with the rest of what's going on in the world at the end of this campaign? Do they go to Minzo Baranzan? Do they, you know, try to negotiate some sort of peace on behalf of the surface or on behalf of Silvery Moon? And then the other option, floated by Jordanese, was to simply come with me to the village of Fromage. And yes, the city was called Fromage. Didn't anticipate that. Didn't really plan for that. But we came up with it last session, so I kept it in. And the party immediately was like, cheese? You mean cheese? Yo, Stone Knife, what up, dude? Bugles up. We're reaching the end of a 3.5-year campaign. Party's level 18. And they've basically pressed into the Underdark to escape and are faced with a drow populace that itself is being threatened by the rising hells. I like the idea of like what would make drow flee. And the idea, at least for me, a smooth-brained fella, of what's deeper than the Underdark. What's physically beneath it. And I know that the Plane of Nine Hells is literally a different plane. But I like the idea that the planes physically jut up against each other. You know what I mean? Like plates in a cupboard. Yeah, exactly. Amon, keep us updated on that. Stone Knife, I assume that you're a D&D player. Get in here. Welcome. This is a session that I run on Tuesday. And basically the party decided that they were going to go with Jordanese. He was like, okay, cool, yeah, come with me to Fromage and, you know, we could have dinner. You could meet my wife. She will be perplexed, you know, that I arrive with so many, but come, it will be fine. And they did. They traveled for about another 12 hours. And as they were kind of faced with, you know, should we bed down for the night? And Jordan is like, no, we are close. It will be there, 45 minutes we will be. They pressed on. And I described this cavern as almost like dancing shadows at the far end of it. And that humming sound of almost revelry. And as they drew closer, they saw that what looked like a bonfire was actually mini fires licking and accelerating and casting these dancing shadows across the stone. And that this distant kind of almost white noise of what sounded like jubilation was the blood-curdling screams of the drow populace of Fromage. So this is what they came upon. Oh shit, I didn't log in. Hold up. Hold up now. Hold up. And we ended the session in combat. So, this is where we'll pick up. Stone Knife, I love that. You're like, yep. Up to speed. Mm-hmm. Amon, I agree. Her acting and form changing probably should stay intact. That's the character you built. You just got to make it work with the DM. Yo, Meatball. Get in here, dude. We're in hell. Welcome to hell. Welcome to hell, Meatball. Oh, I'm real, baby. I'm real. Yo, Barbacus, get in here. Welcome to the dance. Welcome to the dance, Bobicus. Okay, so the party's in combat, right? The hells have arisen. Let's go ahead and zoom in and kind of just break down what's going on this this field of war. So a theme through the campaign has been Baal. I call her Bala, but the classic Faerun, Forgotten Realms, goddess of murder and blood. And I wanted to make her feminine, and I wanted just Bala sounded better to me than Baal, So this has been a through line of the campaign, has been this goddess of blood, essentially trying to replace Saloon, the goddess of the moon and the harvest and regeneration, trying to replace Saloon in this kind of, old pantheon, essentially the night sky. The hells had been down. They were like, cool, you give us power, we give you blood. We were going to give blood anyways. Let's do it. And what has been creeping on the outskirts of the campaign, occasional pillars or death clerics, has now really come full frontal as these fiends have started to make their presence more known. So if you'll notice the literal devil on my shoulder, I think I'm pointing with the right hand, am I? Yes. It just wasn't in frame. Yo, Insomnia, my boy! Bavicus, that's fucking great. Come on. We ballin'? 2 whip cracks. You're absolutely right. We be ballin'. That is very funny. How did you guys know that my mom was literally here? All right, well, Insomnia, get back at us when you can. The centerpiece of the forces that the party is trying to face and kind of deal with is a pit fiend. Now, pit fiends are obviously motherfuckers, dude. They're heavy. I'm pretty sure they're CR 20 or 21. And let's just go ahead and bring up the stat block real quick because I want to discuss the tactics before we move into the rest of the prep. So again, the whole session was them fleeing this dragon's cavern. The ice shields are rushing in. The party is more or less turning tail and getting out of there. They're fleeing into the Underdark. They fucked up some mushroom traps, of course, like you do, and bedded down. And there were some ropers in the area they avoided. There's basically some survival checks that went well for them. They meet Jordanese. Jordanese is well, there are many things we could do. You could come here, you could go to Menzoberranzan, and it could be whatever you wish, It is not forbidden for you to travel, it is just that we are at war. And they were basically dude, you're chill. You're clearly drunk, but you're chill. And I'll go back to Fromage with you. And once they got back, this was the party and the battle that they were faced with. So Pit Fiends. Yeah, challenge 20, dude. So Fear Aura. I love the magic resistance as well. These guys are hard to fucking mess with, Level 18, Babacus. Level 18. And this is for anyone, I've been doing this D&D prep on this campaign for over a year and a half, but the campaign itself has been running, for now over 4 years. And it began as Dragon of Icespire Peak, and we, finished that within about a year. But the party, who are mostly actors, I'm an actor, voiceover artist, I live in LA, but a lot of my buddies and the people that I play with are also improv and actors, etc. But they brought so much homebrew to their story and to their characters. And I love working with homebrew as a DM. Like, that's what really adds color and vibrancy, again, just for me. That we found ourselves really getting pulled into characters' backstories, and I was scrambling to anchor it and justify it. And in terms of writing new stuff, that ended a long time ago. And now the party is just coming crashing back in. They defeated the main BBEG about 6 months ago and are now dealing with this hellish force. And yeah, man, I mean, they're level 18. So it's like, should we throw 2 pit fiends? Like, they don't give a fuck. They're coming and they're messing. Oh, I'm sorry, Mom. They don't give a fuck. My mom's not actually here, guys. All right, calm down. We took it to Pit Fiend as 6 level 9 characters, but it was a doozy. Interesting. Got it. Okay, got it, Amon. I love that. They really don't. Well, look at all of the enemies they're facing, okay? They have a ton of fire methods. Like, all of these guys, dude. And fire methods have heat metal on them, which to me is like a little OP if we're really chopping it up, because it's automatic damage. But the cleric took out a bunch of them. It is what it is. So the party entered from here. 2 of them have rolled up on the Pit Fiend, right? There's a ton of methods in the mix. But in the middle here is this altar to Bala. And these drow villagers are more or less being pulled and hurled inside. And I'm realizing I needed to set this guy a little bit bigger and a little bit closer over here. Cool. These are bearded devils. I really just chose them because I think they're fucking cool. I mean, obviously it fits with the fiends and the hells. But I also do think that it is canonically accurate that a pit fiend would have anything and everything at his disposal. You know what I mean? Like, no one in hell, there are like less than 20 creatures in hell that would do anything other than cower and obey a pit fiend. Yes? Agree or disagree? I think it's got to be. Yo, Sage, what up, dog? I know. Oh, man, I told my wife that. I was like, bro, people are not going to expect me. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get back to a regular schedule. Everyone that's new to the stream, I had a baby 6 weeks ago. My wife did most of the work. But I have been a ghost. And yet I am back. No, American mothers curse you out, Meatball, is how that works. It ain't what it ain't. That's true. That's true. It ain't what it ain't. What it is hell. Yeah, this is that literal hellscape, Sage. Okay, so level 18 Battlemaster Fighter, level 18 Way of the Open Hand Monk, Vengeance Paladin, Ranger, Beastmaster, Storm Cleric. Halstead is a multi-class Moon Druid Barbarian. And then I'm missing somebody else. And just so everybody gives me credit, here is Brandon with a Y. And I'm going to emphasize the Y. And I'm just going to go ahead and put down Xander because I like that idea. So here's the full layout. I showed you the devils. There's a shitload of fire methods in here. And I just wanted to use these simple tokens because if I add too many images, it just bogs down the whole map. But these drow villagers are, cities denizens of fromage. They live here. They are very used to, the underdog. But the past sort of year and a half have been awful because out of nowhere, these sort of demons just appear like poof, Like they show up and it is blood and fire and, Minzo Baranzan has people to stop it, but here on the outskirts in cities like Fromage and little villages, we do not. So there have been certain kind of outposts and areas of the Underdark that are just getting absolutely fucked. That was something they knew about. That was something they RP'd and talked about a lot with this, drow named Jordanese, who was a DMPC. And once they arrived, they saw, honestly, like a murderous horror that they've only ever seen the aftermath of. So this bearded devil, again, I'm just trying to like color. I always want to try to elevate combat by adding something to do, or setting the mayor's house on fire, or creating some pits of acid, like anything that can justify different tactics and different movement in combat. I really appreciate as a player, and I think is more immersive like as a DM. So what's happening here is something they've seen before. This bearded devil is essentially rounding up these villagers. They're already bound, and they're being cast. They're being like head dipped into this altar right here, and then cast into this like viscous, almost breathing pool of blood. I described it as liquid quicksand, like this strange bubbling vortex that, like a bog, seemed almost endless in its suction and depth. And this is basically a sacrifice to Bala. It consumes the body and spirit. Whenever villagers are fed to it, the flaming kind of bowl of blood ignites, and there's like an enormous kind of pyre of flame. And again, they've seen this, and they've seen the after effects, but now they're like watching it go down. So I'm interested. I'm interested how the party will do it. Yeah, your Babakis. Tell your mom I will fucking call her. All right, just chill. It's time. Okay. Man, I appreciate that. Pushing it out by proxy is true. My wife is incredible. I'm so lucky to be married to her, man. In two things, I cannot imagine what it is like to bear and birth a child. That shit was wild. That shit was buck wild. But the second thing is that it's like for 9 months, 10 months really, she's incubating this little, terror. And then the child comes out and is way more work, which is obviously not surprising. Like, I knew this in kind of like an abstract sense, but it's different to know something and then experience it. You know what I'm saying? It's a difference. So anyway, cheers. Appreciate that, Babagus. Cheers to each of us. This is not vodka, it's water. Okay, so the villagers are getting tossed in. We did one round of combat. This is a fire djinn, like a genie, and I really just wanted a hellish caster to be able to do stuff like cast fireball on the pit fiend and have him just enjoy it. It just sort of like washes into him, almost becomes part of his form. So there's really not too much. Let's look up bearded devils real quick, and let's just talk about tactics. And let me see if I have this, because I wanted to also add a... Is it bearded and barbed devil? I kind of forget. Like, is one the... There's a bearded devil and then a spiked devil. That's what it is. Cool. All right, let's drop on some spiked devils, dude. Win in hell. Win in hell, drop in some devils. I've always said that. I've said that every day of my life. Every day. You know what? Let's just make this 2 spiked devils. And that they are the ones, because I want to honor the fact that I had this guy further away and less threatening in that sense. Oh yeah, and Jordanese in here, he sort of ran in because he was coming back to, have dinner with his daughter, 2 daughters, Derek and Beric. But, he arrived and his house was in flames, so it was, it was awful. But Jordanese will not be so easily stopped. He will die before he sort of watches his family burn, so he goes and will probably perish, but, such is life. Also, man, we've been playing this campaign for 4 years, man. there's been some crazy shit. Characters have died. This most recent arc was them going north to save an ancient dragon who was beset by orcs and giants. And they basically like failed to succeed. I mean, it was hard, but they're level 18 and they had multiple routes and they took like the high risk, high reward route and it just didn't work. That's what led to them fleeing into the Underdark. And now they're seeing firsthand, you know, the rising dominion of these old gods. But I'm going to put these two devils here. I'm going to have one like actively. Oh shit. I did not know that I did so many. I'm going to have one actively like almost like summoning above. He's like speaking in Underdark, some sort of, you know, prayer or incantation to Bala. As that's happening, this other spike devil is just tossing villagers into the flames. Now over here, you'll notice everyone's favorite drow, Brandon with a Y. Holler. Holler. Oh my gosh. Okay, I got to catch up on this. What Shakespeare you been watching, Bob? Because I just had a callback for Theatricum Botanicum, which is an incredible theater in Los Angeles and Topanga Canyon. But they're doing Winter's Tale, and they're doing Midsummer Night's Dream. But they're also doing an old French play that they have punched up called Tartuffe. Has anyone heard of that? It's hilarious, dude. It's like basically about this like shyster priest that comes in and cons a small town. But they've updated it to treat it like a 1980s televangelist. So everybody's sort of supposed to be like kind of vaguely Texas or Mississippi or Alabama. And, you know, but everything's in rhyme and couplets, so it sounds like a fish in a bucklet, you know? And it's just very rare. It's a unique play that they've done a good job with. So anyway, there is a Shakespeare Redeem if anybody wants to do a little Shakespeare with me. Egg. That's funny. I get the reference. Please don't, because I consider my whole house a theater and I don't want to say the Scottish play inside it. Just kidding. One has a beard, the other covered in barbs. Okay, you got me, Sage. You got me. What if the fiend's goal is to sacrifice the villagers and skedaddle? 100,000. That's it. That is the goal. Yeah. So they will, I mean, obviously I don't think we're going to make it through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds of combat. However, maybe he's like throwing them in clumps. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, well, let me just jot this down because these are great ideas, and I wanted to talk about tactics. And as we do that, man, I got so much of this in. This was great. This happened. Let me just go ahead and like, these are my notes. Almost 300 pages, my God. But anytime I haven't used something that's important, I'll highlight it like this. Like if I searched within this document, there would be 10 to 15 unused sections that honestly, if I went back through, probably some have been used, but whatever. Okay. Where the fuck are you, man? Here we go. Okay. Perfect. So these people, this is like other things, and now we will pop right into, yeah, fromage, the long licking lashes of a hellish whip. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, awesome. Session 144, guys. Yikes. Occasionally I have extreme fear where I'm like, does my party hate the session? Do they hate the campaign and they're just doing it because we've been doing it so long? And the truth is, nah, they love it. But we'll never fucking know. There's no way to know. You know what I mean? Appreciate you, Sage. Cheers, baby boy. God bless. It has been so hot in LA, it's killing me. Okay, let me just jot these down because I don't want to forget them, and I think they're great bits, and then I'll catch up on chat. So, The fiends are there to get blood, to feed living blood to the lake of fire, and de facto to their goddess Bala. Once they toss in the villagers, they are outie. They are outie 500. This is the other one I wanted to not forget. I hope you guys all know about this. Sage, I know you've been here for all of this, but the list of true names, like the idea canonically and within the lore of the Forgotten Realms, that there exists a physical transcription of the true names of the princes of hell. And, you know, obviously, like the name of the wind, right? There's tons of this in fantasy. Like wizards, I feel like, you know, play into this a lot. But knowing someone or something's true name in many lore settings gives the knower dominion over the person whose name is known. And I treat that, and, you know, most of the Forgotten Realms treats that as being accurate and applicable to devils and fiends. So like 2 years ago, they went to an old MacGuffin tomb, and it's a big lore impact within this campaign, and they go deep, 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 and they find within there a partial list of true names. And as they're in there, they basically are being tracked by these drow. One of them is briefly played by a very good friend of mine, who the party was like, oh, cool, this is a friend of ours. Oh, shit, he stole from us. But that list of true names then, you know, fell out of possession of the party and into possession of the drow. And that is really the only thing keeping this hellish army at bay, is the ability of the drow, of those sort of, you know, masters of Minzo Baranzan, to be able to occasionally summon and control an Ifrit, a pit fiend. I mean, like, extremely powerful hellish forces. So at the end of combat, the pit fiend, who I named, I think I have a name for this fiend. I just want to check it. Stand by. Cool. Great. Okay. I'm almost positive I wrote down a name for this guy. Brockus. Yeah, got it. I don't know why I love that. It just sounds awkward. Like, Brockus sounds like someone clearing their throat that is maybe about to vomit. You know what I mean? Sorry to gross anybody out, but that's how it hits me. So I want to make sure at the end of this, we'll summon another demon lord. But as it appears, that demon, or Brackus, whichever, will be summoned to the surface by Trent Poirgraf. So let me explain. Let me explain. Well, let me catch up on chat and then I will explain. And then after that, I feel pretty good about the combat, to be honest. But we'll see. Sage, I love that. When in hell, add some horns. Oh, heck yeah, man. You know, I really want to watch Denzel's McBee. Is that what you watch, Babacus? I'm curious. No, I am an uncultured swine. I'd never heard of Tartuffe ever. Hey, man, keep working. You'll get those chongas. Why we saving the drow anyway? So true. Such a great question. Well, the party has really seen this confluence of conflict, of blood, of, you know, varying people groups. And I think largely because they love Silvery Moon. Like, they built a house there. That's their home base in a big way. But I think because of that, the party is extremely hesitant to fight the drow. Like, I think they want to come to a truce and get them out of there. But, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so I think with that in mind, both the drow and the party are concerned and fighting the hells. You know what I mean? So it's sort of kind of a strange bedfellows type situation. That's great. That's great. That's gross. Got it. Got it. You know, Sage, I clarified that it is water, all right? Now, is it a whiskey water? I plead the fifth. Next question. Dude, can you imagine if I was just popping off on Everclear? We would be doing the craziest shit in the world. We would get banned. I had one stream where I was drinking and playing Elden Ring, and I kept getting my ass kicked. And then at the end of it was like, did I black out? Like, what's up? It's in the Jurgles book now. Him named Frimp. Yes, exactly. Yo, Hoilepa, let's go. Get in here. Late campaign, Hoilepa, you know the deal. You know the deal. So let's talk about that, Sage, because that applies to where we are. Yes, like the whole world for me takes place in Faerun, in the Sword Coast, like a lot of, you know, Forgotten Realms campaigns. But as they were finishing Dragon of Icespire Peak, they essentially were heading to Sundabar, because that's where one of the character's sisters was being held. And dude, I basically had not created a ton of things that now all of a sudden I needed to sort out like instantly. And I was not ready for it, you know? So I went and found a thing called, oh wait, did I mess that up? Cool. I went and found a old 3rd edition campaign book called Silver Marches. Shout out to Silver Marches, the best that ever was. And in there, they have like 30 pages on Silvery Moon. And yes, traditionally, the like Minzo Baranzan almost rests directly beneath. I mean, like miles and miles and miles beneath the surface, but almost directly beneath Silvery Moon. And Silvery Moon has around it these mythal wards that, you know, are very much like a magical conceit, but imagine like a force field or a shield in like a Star Trek, Star Wars situation. They have that both around the outer city, the outer ward, and then the inner ward that wraps around like the Star Court and, you know, kind of the more important centerpiece of the inner parts of the city. And the ward will alert Silvery Moonians to all kinds of shit. Like if someone casts teleport, if they try to scry. But another thing it does is alert the spell guard to the presence of any fiends, drow, or orcs. And that's because of this long kind of conflict between them. And I wanted to introduce the drow because I thought it was a cool ripple effect for the hells, which were being worked into the campaign because of Bala. But then just all kinds, I mean, it's such a long campaign, I don't want to waste your time with it. But like basically they found their way into the Star Court. It'd been destroyed by the drow. They were helping to repair it. And the rogue came across this like small little room that was sunken beneath one of the inner chambers of this, you know, house of royalty. And within it was a copy of the Mythal Ward. Months and months and months and months and months and months and months later, this same rogue found himself harried and chased within an inch of his life in the city of Neverwinter and made a swap. Got some help. And in exchange, gave over the outlines of this Mythal Ward. And man, I should maybe put that clip on the YouTube page because it was only the rogue. They'd been separated from the party. They were doing some rogue shit and it went poorly like rogues do. And they had this one kind of leverage piece, this extremely valuable blueprint. And as this rogue was exchanging it, the party is like on the Zoom, like just freaking the fuck out. And it can be uncomfortable, but I don't know, man. As a DM, that's some of my favorite shit in the world. Whenever you see the party like desperately trying to stop each other, obviously you don't want it like devolving into a like PvP tournament. But that to me is the special sauce. Okay, let me catch up on this and then we'll, I think, really just see what else we need to do with combat and then we'll be out of here. Not yet, dude. Not yet. Soon, but not yet. Hoylepa, what's the latest? Also, guys, the end of last stream on Friday, I brought my chunky little baby boy and not Marley, the human one, on stream. It was fun. It was his stream debut, completely unplanned. I asked my wife, I was like, can I do it? And she was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't care. Oh, man. So this guy, Twint Paragraph, was the gentleman that made the swap. And Trent is sort of, he's like related to the monk's background. He's kind of like an Al Capone type. You know, water deep. He runs a group called the Blind Jackals. And, you know, they're bad dudes. A lot of them are monks. Some of them are death clerics. They do what he's doing, but their whole fucking purpose is destabilizing the surface. Making money off that. Black market, arms, information, whatever it might be. And so whenever the rogue traded away these mythal blueprints, Trent, and the party knew this, that's why they were freaking out. Trent had already been working with the drow, supplying them with information, with explosive powder, with tactical military support from the Blind Jackals. And when he made this trade, when the rogue gave away the blueprints to Silvery Moon, the whole campaign changed. I mean, it completely changed. And like everyone, it was just beautiful, but it was like gut-wrenching, but it was very real. And this was off screen, like, you know, I think I have this written down. We can just do it. So Trent has retreated to Bixie Creek. He has traded the Drow Silvery Moon blueprints, those are the ley lines, for 6,000 platinum and 2 demons from the list of names. He has 2 dreadlords of the 9 hells in his command. He's so close. Undertow out of the way, good faith of the Drow. He will destabilize the north, reap the riches, and turn his power against King Adelphin. And for any DMs at home, obviously this is like, you know, many ways to skin a cat, tomato, tomato. But this is really important to me to do with my big NPCs or villains or whomever that is going the length of a campaign, is to make sure that I'm checking in with like, what the fuck these guys are up to, you know? Has he succeeded? How far has he gotten? Sometimes I'll roll for it to be like, how well did he do? Oh shit, I rolled a 3. I guess it didn't work. And that for me is just fun as a DM, but it's really important for storytelling and for moments like this where like they haven't dealt with Trent in like 30 sessions or something, 40 sessions. But that doesn't mean he hasn't been making moves, you know? So, all right. So Trent will be here, and that's why I want to work this in. While the militia and brass seek a truce to small town, the village, the underdog being pulled. So at the, oh, here we go. So combat. Oh shoot, I put this in the wrong spot, my bad. Cool. Okay, great. And I want to just describe what Trent looks like here in this moment. And this is going to piss them off so much, dude. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Look, sometimes you got to anger your party, all right? More or less, yeah. The one BBEG that's left, and maybe there's 2, but really it's just 1. But yeah, Trent has 2 dreadlords, at least the names of them. So he can like bring them up to the surface. Like I treat it like he has complete dominion over them for 24 hours. And then 24 hours off. And then 24 hours on, if he wants it that way. But right now he's just been calling them out of nowhere. Wrecking cities, supporting the Drow incursion. using this power for his good, the world's bad, you know? Everyone has enemies find them, and they can pay a lot of money for good information. Yes, indeed, Hoilepa. The idea of information, of knowledge, being even more powerful than military force, or at minimum just as, is extremely real. So you see Brachus, or whomever, or the Demon Lord, whatever. And even if all of the Drow villagers get thrown into this pool of blood here, which again, the way I'm treating this is almost like a timer, almost like the layer action is one of these spike devils. I need to make them a little smaller. One of these spike devils, you know, sacrificing these Drow. And once that's done, Brachus, the Pit Fiend, and, you know, whoever's left is going to be outie. Peace. But even in the event of that, I want to describe Brachus summoning another demon, like this sort of spilling out of what looks almost like oil and spittle, in almost this like flowing, like conflagration of like fluid and wisps of dark energy, almost necromantic, before the entire space in front of the devil erupts in flame. And stepping out of that will be another demon lord that will kind of like bow to Brachus, maybe even have like ethereal chains connecting the two of them. But regardless of if the party wins, if the devils succeed and now they're about to leave because they've done what they were going to do for Bala, regardless, I'm going to show this like cutscene of a devil being summoned to the surface by Trent because of what we're about to write. I just want to make sure they can make that connection. Like, yo, you gave the blueprints to Trent. Trent gave the blueprints to the Drow. The Drow gave Trent 2 devils. Like, you guys fucked up. You see Brachus, the Demon Lord, begin to struggle. Flames erupt about his person, about their person. I don't know who it'll be. And his snarl escapes their cruel jaws as an enormous black collar, how about, snaps into place. You hear a sound like souls being ripped from stone, from the deepest of stone. But it's the foam, it's the cry of these fiends, of these demon lords. The cry of the demon lord. Does anyone in Infernal? I like to like really switch up the languages only because that's very realistic. If there's a world where there's like 12 different races and they all speak different things, that is going to be happening fucking constantly. So I like that. I'll be like, who speaks Infernal? Just the Tiefling Paladin? Okay, great. And then you can DM them whatever's being said. But I just like that because, like, especially in combat, if there's ambiguity, like that to me is kind of scary, where it's like, what the fuck did he say? What did he say? What? One of the devils could contact the party simple because they don't want to be controlled by the BBG. Yes, dude, I love that. Like living back black glue, not too far from that. Or goo almost. Yeah, I think that's what you're going for. Totally that, Hoilepa. Totally that. Like very much the amalgamation of like necromantic energy. But I love the idea. And I'm just going to put this down. And let me just go ahead and just do this. It's going to take us a second because anytime I'm streaming and screen sharing this enormous document, if I search within it, it takes forever. So let me see. But there's another demon that was imprisoned in this black diamond. Yes. Yes. I forgot all about this. Man, this campaign is running so long. I love this shit. Okay, hold up. Yes, here we go. Lord Shu Koratan. Let's go. Yeah, they're going to be like, holy fuck, is that the guy from the diamond? Oh, shit. I thought he was trapped. All right, here we go. Yeah, Garrick and Derek were Jordanez's daughters. Look at that. No, Derek and Garrick. They cannot be taken. Okay, Rowdy. Great. And this is really what I want. As the demon's form struggles, you watch almost like a window condensing over or fogging over with condensation as this devil's form becomes ethereal, both there and not, before the shadowy shape shifts, takes a new form. You see the hulking arms, an enormous barrel chest of a figure who you last saw silhouetted. I love this shit. In the dark alley of Neverwinter. Trent paragraph. He smiles, holding in one hand an enormous chain whip. I don't know if that's too rowdy. Anytime you bring a whip into play, like I'm just telling you right now, if a whip enters the chat, people get nervous. All right? And that's understandable. I mean, like, the whip connotes nothing good. Okay? Like, you know, we've got Egyptians. We've got slaves. We've got just torture in general. You got animals in the zoo. You got bad cowboys when they're being mean to people or horses. I mean, the list goes on. I guess Indiana Jones is the only exception to the fact, the truth, that a figure carrying a whip is a bad guy. Agree or disagree, guys? I guess we have Simon from Castlevania, but he's kind of a hoe, in my opinion. I mean, hoe is a bit, I mean that with full respect to any actual hoes. You know what I mean? I mean Simon can't jump in Super Smash Bros. And it pisses me off. Oh my God, dude, I love it. Sage, I love that. You're like, I was saying he was worthless. Oh, Horlep, I didn't see this. Black rods form inside the air and fall to the ground. Yes, you hear a heartbeat from it. Oh yes, dude. Look at that. I love that. I love the idea of roots coming up. Yes. Yeah, I love that. Tendrils of black seep from Brachus's form, extending from him like black roots of an evil tree. The roots gather, twisting upon themselves. Ah, that's great, Horlepa. You hear a sound like souls being ripped from deepest stone. Fuck yeah. So again, this is a good example for me, because sometimes people are like, oh, like the classic ogre at the crossroads. In Sage, we will go back. We will dive all the way into Indiana Jones. I just want to cap this point. But the classic ogre at the crossroads scenario, where it's like, okay, you know, what's going on? Like, is this, if the party comes up to the fork in the road and you, the DM, have planned that on the left side is an ogre and on the right side is a friendly village, do you, the DM, switch it if they go right instead of left and you were planning on combat? And there are exceptions, and like, it's D&D, dude. So do whatever you got to do. But for me, I absolutely fucking hate that. I do not like it. I do not like it. This dude, Brachus, should only be on one side of the fork in the road, in my opinion. But this is what I'm doing here and now, I feel like, is kind of splitting the difference. I have no idea if the party is going to succeed or fail. They can definitely handle this combat, but will they end it in time to save this village? I don't know. I think it'll be hard to do. But regardless of their success or the demon's success, I will showcase the list of true names being used, because it's too big of a deal and they've seen the repercussions and the ripple effects, but they've never actually seen it happen. So especially when you've had something in your campaign that's off screen and referenced, and you know, you're meeting villagers that were like, yeah man, these fucking, it's like a pool of blood sort of spun up out of nowhere, and I mean all these you know, it smelled like brimstone and fire, and out of nowhere these big horned sort of fiends that came out. I mean, it was awful. You know, if you've had those situations, at some point, I think the party has to see it, you know, because otherwise it's just this vague off-screen threat. So regardless of if it's Brachus or if it's Trent Puergraf doing it, regardless, they're going to see at the end of it, Trent take control. And that's just because I want them to understand. In the other, a simple stone rectangle etched with writing. Let's go. And then maybe I'll just say it. The list of true names. You fucking idiots. Okay, and again, I like to, this is not something I've done the whole campaign, but I've started highlighting stuff just because it helps, you know? Catches my little eye. Makes me rush over there. Okay, let's dive into this. So Indiana Jones, hero or villain? Sage, I love that. I was saying he's a bad guy. He's useless. Black Cat from Spider-Man? I don't know that. Okay, more of a flail. You know, fair enough. Yeah, theirs is like chain, right? Like, I don't think it's meant to like snap back like a whip is, you know? Now, I haven't seen Raiders of the Lost Ark in a minute. Oh, Lost Ark. I'm thinking of the other one. Dude, that's funny as fuck. Because I guess he does fight his way all the way there and then just get tied up. And then he's like, don't look. And everybody just like nukes themselves with the Ark. Okay. Yeah. Valid. Sustained. Objection sustained. A female anti-villain. There you go. There you go, Alepa. Yeah, the real hero of Raiders of the Lost Ark was that German babe. That was just absolutely crushing it. We all know who I'm talking about. We all know. Okay, I feel really good about this. So it'll just be like Devil Combat, Mephit's coming in. You know, this spellcaster will be doing some wild shit. These villagers are, I'm treating it like they were essentially like kind of like the hunters of the village, almost like they were off like doing some shit and now they've come back to this horrific scene and they will try to sneak in and provide some sort of backup. That's partly because it feels compelling to me, and I like it when combat is a shit show where they're like, holy fuck, who's this? Should I stop that? What do I do? Because though it takes forever, IRL combat is tough. You have to make split-second decisions. And the more I can create that need to just decide on the fly, in my opinion, the more realistic it is. The other reason is just to get Brandon with a Y off my ass. Here he is, Brandon. He's in. All right? He's in. There's a big fat Y. And I'll say it like it is. He's cute as hell. Look at this like chic-esque little crotch tabard. It's a good looking dude. Good looking drow. But I feel good about this combat. I don't know how it will end. Man, these cacklers are like coming at him. Yeah. Crazy. A lot of these got destroyed. I need to go back and check how many got destroyed. I think one of them is still there. Oh, no. Here he was. My bad. Cool. Okay, awesome, man. So this combat will be fun. Who knows what will happen in the town of Fromage? Maybe they will, succeed, or maybe they will all die. It is unclear, but at some point in time, the rubber must hit the road, yes? So at the end of that, I mean, it's going to be very dependent on how combat goes. And if Bala successfully takes all of these, prisoners. But as that's happening, still separated from the party, is Vexel. So I'm just caught up in this. Like, this to me is very fun, and I think, hopefully, I'm not trying to, yank my own horn, but, this is why I like keeping notes. This has been something that has been copied and pasted from this document, which is more overarching, 10-pager of, what are the big through lines and motivations of the villains, the heroes, Silvery Moon, the Drow, etc. But just having stuff like this, the Drow have pushed to the surface because of the absence of options. The threat comes from below. That leaves one direction. It is known that the Drow truth seekers hold a partial list of true names. Rumors swirl that the names have been traded to a surface dweller. While the militia and brass seek a truce, the smaller towns and villages of the Underdark are being pulled under by the Hells. So now we're actually seeing that, right? Now we're seeing all of that happen. They talked to this guy, Jordanez, who's it was as if they sort of appeared and kind of took it all over. It was not expected in the least, They just sort of appear, poof. And now they're witnessing that. Bala and the Hells almost stepping across the plains. And I don't know, that's how I think long campaigns can continue, is you have to have those threads crashing back in on itself. Otherwise, it reaches a point where you're like, why am I even taking this note? Why am I even writing this down? You know what I mean? But as that's happening, we have Vexel. And this is partly because of, realism. A masculine elf? Wait, what is that? A masculine elf. Got it, Hoilepa. Agreed. Yeah, most elms have very kind of soft, long features. If you took an elf and turned them into a human boy, you would get Timothée Chalamet. And I mean that with highest praise. All right? It was once called Dune. But yeah, elves are hot. We all know that. But as the party was trying to save this dragon and pushing into her lair and beset by these ice shields and ultimately fleeing into the Underdark, partly because of in-game choices and partly because of IRL schedules and conflicts. The player character the human that plays the player character of Vexel hasn't been able to make as many of the sessions as they normally have over the past, let's say, 6 or 7 weeks, which is probably more like 10 weeks because ever since this child was born, my brain really doesn't work anymore and time is extremely conceptual. But at some point in time, Brandon, with an O, who plays Vexel, he had to sort of step away. Life stuff, work stuff, no big deal. He's an actor. He was in the middle of a play. And it was tough, dude. Like, I played some one-on-one sessions with him on Twitch because we were just reaching, like, the peak of his character's backstory. Half orc, half human, human barbarian dad, orc, kind of orc roguish mom. And had this crazy stuff going down with his mom, felt like his mom had betrayed this group of human barbarians. This was, 18 years ago or whatever. Classic tribe was slaughtered. Orphan. Is his mom alive? Is she not alive? What's going on? And they started to hear more about this like female orcish leader, this matron of the storms that kind of seemed one with both the sky and the earth, both life and death, blood in and blood out. And that, of course, was his mom. And as he was faced with this decision of like party versus purpose versus familial ties, the party itself was arriving at the spine. And it was again this crashing together of like decisions and conflict. And, that's what we love to create as DMs, right? Is like if the party is spending 30 minutes, much less an hour, role playing and like trying to figure out what needs to happen next, genuinely, that sometimes can be like the juiciest of juice. So Vexel was taken back in by his mother, but not by the Ice Shield orcs. They doubted him. And as the Ice Shield, some of them were hiking up above the entrance to the cold box, this ancient lair of this blue dragon, Trisiladon. Vexel made his move. There had been pitons driven into the ice, these sort of iron stakes. And a series of very tactical heat metal spells had activated them in the hopes of like collapsing some of this frozen rock and snow in front of this entrance to this dragon's lair. But Vexel saw an opportunity to shove some of these orcs off. One, a figure by the name of Blacktongue, who was sort of like a Mickey Rourke on steroids type, but saw an opportunity to kind of take out a threat. And as Blacktongue was shoved off, he cast Heat Metal and initiated an avalanche, at the top of which stood Vexel. And Vexel saved a couple dexterity saving throws, went tumbling to the bottom, took over 100 points of damage, fell unconscious, except they're a half-orc. So relentless endurance kicked in. And Vexel tried to force his way out of the situation. He should have died. He got fucking so lucky with these dice rolls. Although I'm happy for him, but I definitely thought he was going to die. And he made it into the lair of this dragon, where he proceeded to roll a bunch of nat ones on his persuasion checks. And if he hadn't come literally with a blue dragon egg that had been given to him in a very fortunate circumstance, he would have been killed. And I hate killing characters out of combat, but sometimes you have to. But nonetheless, Vexel has been on his own, right? He's been sort of pulled off onto this track of his own backstory and what he viewed to be potentially opportunity. A small open window by which he could remove a threat that stood between both him and power, but him and unchecked resolution with the only family he has left, his mom. Yo, Gravanch, my boy! Dog! I missed you, man. I'm late. I was cruising on my D&D prep. I didn't see you, dog. Gravanch, how are you, dude? I am so happy you're here, but I am so ready to like collaborate, to play some more D&D, to get after it. It's just tough, dude, because I'm responsible for a human life that's like that big. You could basically fit Waylon into a teacup. He would hate that. Well, depending how warm the tea was. How you doing, G? For real. Welcome. It's Monday. It's spring break also. So like as a teacher, it's just great. Yeah. It's just been good. Okay. Put a male elf in a dress and you have the most beautiful woman in the city. Prove me wrong. I can't. Hoilepa, I can't. That is going in the Chat Hall of Fame. That is hilarious. And you have the most beautiful woman in the city. Drow orphans are called Child of the Burning Mountains by the Drows. It's a neat little culture thing in my world. I love that. That is amazing. Oh, dwarf orphans, dude. Is that what you meant, dwarfs? Hoilepa, I love that. Child of the Burning Mountain. That's good. It was a holly for me today, my old man's birthday, so I had to ball. Let's go, dude. Gervanch, happy birthday to your pops, man. He made a good one. Google's up to the Patriarch Batra. Okay, they are dwarfs. Thank you for that, Hoilepa. You're completely right. That's beautifully coined. Yeah, what's going down, Gervanch? What you working on, man? What's the latest personally and then creatively? I want both. So Vexel, this rogue barbarian, he went off. He'd been taken in by the leader of the Ice Shields, but the orcs themselves were like, who the fuck is this guy? And then he tried to betray them. Didn't work. So now he's on the run. And it was pretty fun. It was what I called a skills challenge for his very life. For indeed it was. He had to escape into the woods. He had to use whatever he wanted. It ended up being like survival and stealth for the most part. But as he was being pursued, the trail was lost. And it wasn't until he was able to kind of collect himself to, get out of this dire kind of one hit point type circumstance that he used a sending stone to reach back out to the party. And he then returned to essentially the area where he'd fled, the entrance to this dragon's lair. And I described it to him as him kind of inching back down the slope and hiding amongst the foliage and watching as the majority of this Ice Shield force walked across the old snow, they called it, this frozen lake, to the entrance to the dragon's lair. And this was a long time coming. I mean, again, within the lore of my campaign, there was something called the Peace of the Wild. And it was an accord between giants and dragons, orcs and humans, and drows and elves. And it was brokered by this, very famous MacGuffin, Decanthar. That's an actual reference from Silver Marches, 3rd edition. I love Decanthar. But that essentially that truce was broken. And it was broken by the BBEG, but the giants were framed, and then dragons got mad, and now it all went to hell. So these orcs are basically dead set on killing this dragon. And Vexel is crouched above, watching as the Ice Shields press in. And as he does, he then witnesses, and is the only party member to witness, one of the greatest payoffs of lore in this campaign. The arrival of the Winged Jester, a copper dragon. So I know that's a lot, so we'll have to hop in there. Oh my gosh. That's so good. Hoilepa, write that story and drop it in the Discord for the love of God. I became a moderator for another streamer, and he streams 6 to 8 hours a day. Dude, that's so funny. No worries, man. Like, I really do miss you guys. Like, it's so funny to me whenever someone pops into chat, and I'm like, oh my God. Like Crimson Rockstar. Or whomever. That's not to say the regs don't have a special place in my heart, because they do. But the point is, Hoilepa, the door is always open, okay? I'm right here. Electronic hugs. Get in here. Gervanch, so personally, I'm almost an architect as declared by the piece of paper. What, you don't believe me? Look at this piece of paper. Look, paper goes a long way in this postmodern world, so hang on to that. Laminate that. But I'm almost done with my first rap song. Let's go. And the second one I've been working with, which you've reached out to me about exactly. Yo, Pokey Niner. Get in here, champ. Welcome. You know, a first-time chat gets me turgid. Welcome, Pokey Niner. Good to see you. Oh, no, you're not a first-time chat. You've chatted before. Yeah, dude, we're doing some D&D prep. And we basically prepared what is a pretty intense encounter between a hellish army led by this pit fiend and the party. But I needed to make sure that I lined up the other side of that, which is this separated rogue that is a member of the party but is witnessing something crazy. So imagine, if you will, an enormous tundra of ice. Think Antarctica. Think vaulting, swirling winds, and near untenable conditions. In between the weather, the temperature, and the glare, it is an extremely uncomfortable place to be. Vexel has returned to this place and watched as the entirety of the Ice Shield Orcs' army and force has marched upon the lair of this dragon. The party tried to save it. They didn't succeed. So now Vexel is more or less watching this unfold. You behold a seemingly irreproachable force. An army of ice shields. Now bear with me here. Let's do some math. Let's do some math here, huh? There are I think there are meant to be 10 orcs to a talon. And there are 5 talons to a fist. So a fist of orcs is 50. So 5 fists, 250? My God. Stretching into the 200s. More than 5 fists of orcish strength. Marching unbidden upon the lair of the cold box. The entrance of the cold box. Cold box is this area of snow that leads to the lair. They run like stampeding horses, some aback, ice boulets, others simply sprinting. The giants keep pace, their long strides shaking the very earth beneath them. As they reach the entrance, the collapsed entrance to the cold box, they slow and gather like the 101 on Friday afternoon. That's an LA reference, guys. Get up to speed. They hunger. Their shouts and weapons intermingling like an orchestra of war. I like orchestra of war. I fucking like that, lads. Sort of like an orchestra of war, right? That's good. I mean, I don't mean like, oh my God. I just want to mean like, that was cool. I like that. Yo, Pokey Niner, what's up? Yes, inspire me, man. Pokey Niner, drop it on me, dog. Yeah, this began as Dragon of Icespire Peak, and now it has spun into the backstories and homebrew world of a lot of my party. Okay, so this is a link. A little bit sus, you know what I'm saying? Let's see what's up with this. Oh, Pokey Niner, you did come in and drop some stuff. This is really well done. Okay, yeah, I'll share this for show. Let me see if we can... Oh, this is rad. Ranger archetype, Tundra Titan. Interesting. Chilly fear follows your presence, thanks in part to the raw power you've unraveled. Interesting. Training in Society of Frost Giants. Interesting. Okay. This is cool. Armor of Agathis, great choice. Enlarge Reduce. Water Walk, I love it. Ice Storm, bro. Cone of Cold at 17th, that's so rowdy. Resistance to cold damage. Okay. Interesting. When you cast the spell this way, your melee weapon attack deal an additional cold damage equal to your wisdom modifier. That's very cool. That is badass. Bitter Blessing. Oh my god, I love that. That is so rad. I like the rune and I like the strength score change. That's just fun. So what's always hard for me on this Niner is like also fucking badass art. Look at that like zombie frost giant. That's cool. This is very cool, my dude. The I think what's hardest for me, like homebrewing enemies for the party to face, not that hard. I do a ton of reskinning, right? It's pretty easy to like get a feel for, you know, how much damage, you know, 3d10 plus 8 will be versus 3d6 or whatever. But whenever I'm homebrewing for the player characters, that to me feels more challenging. Maybe because presumably these characters will be around longer than my enemies who are often slain. But I say that to say that felt really balanced to me. So kudos, man. That's rad. It's really hard to pull that stuff off. You know what I mean? Like, it's very hard to, like, make it all the way there. Steal some of the subclasses features to put on the orcs. I love that. I love that, man. I really do. That is, dude, I know that feeling. You're like, well, if you thought it was good, it's because it took everything. No, kudos, man. That's rad. That's well done. Thank you, man. I'll keep that up. I'll keep that up. I really like the idea. I did give them resistance to cold damage. The party already knows that. But now they have immunity. That's crazy. I like the idea. I like the idea of some of them, maybe the Ice Shield captains, being able to do this. When you take the attack action, you can replace one of the attacks with a melee weapon attack using a magical Fist of Sleet. 2d6, has the reach property. Can use either strength or wisdom. I love that. Restrained, my god, cool. So this is just once. Or until you spend a first level spell slot. Clever. I love stuff that allows the use of a spell slot outside of casting. I think it's just a great way to tap into a resource and make it even more valuable. That's cool. Whoa. So each spell slot, it doesn't go up by 1d6, it goes up by 2d6. Cool. Yeah, I think Titan Grasp and Bitter Blessing I will use. That's rad. Appreciate that, Niner. Kudos, man. So let's wrap this real quick because I'm more I'm just proud of this moment, and I've had people ask me like how to do something like this, like how to foreshadow in your campaign when you're playing a game that is completely unpredictable. You know what I mean? Unless you're really going for plot armor, shout out to my boy Sage, or unless you're really railroading the absolute hell out of your party. You know, you're going to have some deviations. Like, you're going to expect them to go left and they're going to go hard right. And that's nothing new to really any DM. That happens all the time. But if you are trying to foreshadow something, and particularly if you are moving into homebrew, where you kind of have not necessarily an ending per se, but almost like a final tableau, like an image, right? And for me, there's been a couple. The first was of the BBEG, the Divination Wizard, Owen Undertow. This level 20 caster who, by tapping into some of the old holy sites of the Sword Coast and utilizing his powers of divination, stepped across the planes, from the material to the astral, yes, but across different contact points of the material timeline, almost like stepping across and into time. And that was definitely a heady trip, you know? But I like the idea of a divination wizard that had almost crafted time stop, that had almost invented it. And for me, that tableau of Undertow within this chamber, surrounded by lightning, slowly circling as he began combat with the party, was for me an epic kind of moment. Another moment, but that's already happened, check. Another moment, and this is sort of like the final tableau, is the party returning to Silvery Moon and the Moon Bridge and their home and the Spellguard and Terran and Lady Illustrial. But they fucked up everything in Silvery Moon. So now that tableau is like in question. And excuse me, that tableau. But it's hard for me. I'm not a railroader, man. Like, they gave the ley lines, they gave the blueprints of Silvery Moon to a villain. So now they got to deal with it. But the third tableau was the outstretched wings of an ancient dragon. And the idea of being so engrossed, so captivated, and so wholly present with whatever was going on, that focus was broken by a shadow breaking across you as this enormous draconic form broke between the ground and the sun above. So bear with me as I give the final piece of setup. No, hold up. Bear. It's a 300-page document, guys. Bear with. Here we go. So this was something that like first came up session 20. And I am a huge Wheel of Time fan. Like, I'm a fan girl. I've read the series twice, like I adore it. And the theme of reincarnation, of like the heroes of old being respun into the heroes of the current age, is one to me that I found really cool. And all throughout the Wheel of Time, like there are these like prophecies that are met and made true by the lead protagonist, who is one of those kind of reborn heroes. And I just thought it was dope. Like, I mean, mild spoilers, I guess, but like in book 4 of the Wheel of Time, they go to the Aiel Waste and they go to a city called Ruadan, and they take in this vision. The main protagonist does, that's a reborn hero. And he himself is struggling with like, yo, I'm reincarnated? Like, I don't remember any of this shit. Like, why is this happening? And as they complete this vision, and as they survive this strange encounter in this ancient city of Ruadan, they return to the camp that they left. And again, this is in the book, Wheel of Time. And as they're marching across, like, you know, it's the protagonist and another main character, and they're like, God damn, that was wild. Whoa, that was close. Whoa. It cuts to the other side of this desert where the camp is that the two people are walking back to. And you see these wise ones, these like prophets almost, watching the figures slowly approach them. And as they do, the sun is rising behind them. And the prophecy of the Dawnbringer had already been established in the book well before this. but it was that moment of prophecy coming to bear. And that to me, like, I just got chills. Like, that to me is profoundly deep and really epic and high fantasy adjacent. And, you know, so I was like, you know, I wanted this to happen. Okay, this was session 23. And this is the prophecy of the dragon. Well, let me just go to the one that has like the updated. Hang on. Great. Okay. Prophecy of the dragon. When the stone of the queen has crumbled to kings, terrors that fly now lie. As bones mounted in stones, the old sky spins free of its own. A blue dragon will come to fight the blot in the sun, and the night will be white that day. So this was established, yeah. And the only thing I really had was that the Dragonborn Ranger, who's a blue Dragonborn, I just wanted him to be like the reincarnated spirit of Decanthar. Don't ask me why. I just thought it was cool. So I introduced this prophecy, and then slowly but surely, like, I made it come true, you know? I was like, oh, the Stone of the Queen is Queen Azarin's old castle. That could work. Terrors that fly as bones mounted in stones. Oh, shit. In the Dragon Barrow in Dragon of Icespar Peak, they have dragon bones. That'll be Maroth. The old sky spins free. I made Maroth come back because there was all these ripple effects of the wizard divination guy affecting things along the historical timeline, like playing with the butterfly effect, if you will. A blue dragon will come, my Dragonborn PC, to fight the blot in the sun, and that is the moment that was just described. Who the fuck? Dude, I just put a thing that was like, we have a baby, to ring the doorbell. Hey. Thank you, Sloggy. Un momento. Guys, give me 2 seconds. Ice grabbies. Hey, man, that was time well spent. Okay, give me 2 seconds. Okay, thank you, beloved. Sorry about that. Am I muted? I'm back. Okay, great. God bless that dog. I love him. But I'm gonna kill him. Interesting. Well, I just got offered a role in a play. There's so much going on. Okay, this is crazy. All right, let's do what we got to do here. Let's not get sidetracked. All right. Let's get back to the ice grabbies. So this prophecy of the dragon was established long ago, man. And always in my mind, that sort of tableau of them at the spine of the world, far north, and the sun being darkened by this quick-moving shadow. It was just compelling as fuck to me. I just liked it. So now that's what they're seeing. And it stretches over you. Like a fast-moving cloud. These stretching wings and long serpentine tail casting a long shadow across the snow of the cold box. The wings of Volturion blotting out the sun. With a cry like the making of the earth itself, he circles and then swoops, belching a stream of acid onto the back lines of the orcish forces. Again he swoops. Again he cleaves into the ice shields. And this will continue as the ice shields begin to turn their attention to him. He rises, gathering his wings, climbing till he rests about 300 feet from you, upon the rocks, the rock face above the cold box entrance. Turion changes shape, the dashing and copper-skinned human form. He pulls out paper, a quill, and ink. He begins to write. I don't know why I just love this. Whenever they first, before they even met Relturion, they came across his journals, like in the tomb of this Decanthar character. And also in my world, they are old, dude. Like they are old. Like these dragons are over 2,000 years old. And like, what would it be like to be that old? You know? Like, what would it feel like? Like, what would you do to stay sane? What would your interests be? Right? So I love kind of playing with that. Okay, let's preamble it up. And then I'll let you rascals get out of here. But not until that. Not until then. Okay, cool. Yo, Poke9er, shout out for this this subclass. Well done, dude. It's hard. It's also a beautiful layout. You know, kudos on the presentation. So Welcome to the Underdark. Population U. The ferret that you first saw when you dropped into the yawning opening that Dracylodon's lair eventually dead-ended into. That picked up your torches, the gutting light, distorting and stretching across the stone. You heard him cry out, "Do not hurt him! Do not hurt him, no! Do not hurt him." The voice of the campaign's central figure. Jordanes. God damn it. Guys chopped it up. Ends up the drow ain't all that bad. At least this guy. Jordanes. You of the state of the Underdark. War had been declared on the surface, on the lurkers, and that towns and villages were being swallowed up by the house. There was apparently consolidated drow strength meeting in Minza Baranzan. Yeah, I like this. It's just tough because I really just want to get really to the combat. Like that's really just where I need to go. Cool. There was apparently a consolidated draw strength. And rumors of a partially held list of true names. Potential turning point. A potential protection for the draw. But met with some returning to the surface, journeying to Minzo, or traveling to Fromage with Jordanes. You chose the latter. Traveled the full day into the night. First hearing the sounds of merriment, and then seeing it for what it truly was. The shrieking fires of murderous death. The hells arisen. The armies of Bala marching forward to reclaim her spot amongst the night sky. Okay, I fuck with that. Welcome to the Underdark, Population U. It was Tyler the Ferret that first saw. It was Tyler the Ferret that you first saw. That's what I meant to say. When dropping down into the yawning opening that Dracylodon's lair eventually dead-ended into. It's a bit of a mouthful. As you landed and you picked up your torches, the gunning light distorting and stretching across the stone, you heard him cry out, "Do not hurt him!" The voice of the campaign's central figure, Jordanes. You guys chopped it up. Ends up the drow ain't all that bad, at least this one. Jourdain spoke to you of the state of the Underdark, how war had been declared on the lurkers above, that towns and villages were being swallowed up by the hells. There was apparently consolidated drow strength meeting in Minzo Baranzan and rumors of a partially held list of true names, a potential avenue of power or protection for the drow. And that to me is like... Oh, whoops. How did I get here? That to me I like. Okay, cool. But met with the options of returning to the surface, journeying to Minzo Baranzan, or traveling to Fromage with Jourdain, you chose the latter. Traveled another full day into the night. At first hearing the sounds of merriment, and then seeing it for what it truly was. The shrieking sounds of fire and murderous death. Cool. The hells arisen. The armies of Bala marching forward to reclaim her spot amongst the night sky. Okay. Damn. We out here. We out here, baby boy. Okay, guys, that's gonna do it for you, boy. I love you guys. I mean it. Got a lot of people I feel like I need to shout out. A lot of legends coming through. Pokey Niner. Yo, Gervanch Huilepa appearing from the dead. Had some first-time chatters. Sage, you were not one of them, but very happy to see you, my friend. Yes. Babacus, absolutely killing it. Get in here. I hope you come again. You were very funny, and maybe one day you will have the chongos. You will have the chongos enough to purpose what you seek. Amon, love you, dude. Meatball, let's go. He's back. Meatball, it's true, dude. I'm here. I'm here. Insomnia, you bastard. You beautiful bastard. Stone Knife guy. Didn't catch that follow, Stone Knife. I'll tell you what. That's a Stone Knife cut that goes deep. But I love you, I think. I don't really know you. But thank you for coming through. And I'm realizing, Insomnia, I owe you an audition tape, dude. So the moment you come back and you show that cute little face, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to get it. All right, let's raid Not Absolutely Sure. This guy is hilarious. Oh, no, he's ending his stream. Never mind. So I like to end the D&D streams by raiding someone that is playing Dungeons & Dragons. That was done to me by some members of the community the first time I ever streamed D&D. And yeah, so I just find it very kind, you know? If you can, just pop in, say what up, give them a little love, you know? Great. All right, we'll crash in on these guys. World Tree Quests. Now, maybe they're streaming in Portuguese. That tends to be my luck whenever I do these sorts of things. But maybe not. Maybe not. Who knows? All right, guys. I might be here on Friday. I don't know. By that, I mean on Earth, not Twitch. But if I am here on Earth, good chance I will be streaming. Operation Hogtie. Let's go. And just wish me luck. There's like a lot going on, and I kind of need to figure out how to both be a dad and a creative and a teacher. Because right now it's hard to do like even just one of those things. But I love you. And I appreciate you loving me. And take care of yourselves and each other. I'm out. Peace. Goodbye. Fare thee well.